Over on the New World official forums, BubX posted a topic that I think is really interesting and I want to bring to your attention today. It's titled AGS, We Need to Rethink Corruption Portals. Now, I'm going to include a link to this post in the description. If you feel like anything that I say in this video or that BubX says in his post is interesting and relevant to you, you can go weigh in either here in the comments or over on the official forums. But that's essentially what I wanted to dive in today. The concept of corruption portals in New World, what I think that they could do better, and what would incentivize me to start doing them. But I never want these to feel like my word is law. I always want these to be a discussion between your ideas and my ideas, and ideally kind of make this more of a community over here, especially around New World. Hello, everyone. By the way, my name is Brian. That's a little bit of a different intro that I've done before. Thanks so much for clicking on this video, by the way. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the content here on the channel. But let's go ahead and dive into the post and my thoughts about it. But as always, I really want to know your thoughts. That's really kind of the whole point behind these videos themselves. Anyway, BubX writes, the idea behind these was great. It was designed to be open world group content that people can band together and complete, if I can read, for Azoth and loots. Now the problem, basically no one runs them, like ever. I'm on Pluto, and we've got one of the most active servers left in the game, and it's basically impossible to, quote-unquote, quickly form a group to take on this content. Maybe we need to tweak the rewards, give them monthly rare cosmetics that you can only acquire from closing risks. Maybe we need to make it easier for settlements to head off invasions if they defend their territory. I don't know, but one thing's clear, they're annoying, and I'm quite tired of running through them all over knowing that there's nothing to be done about them because they just respawn endlessly. Portals aren't creating group content, they're just annoying obstacles players hurdle over when moving from points A to B. Now, the devs respond, we've seen similar feedback surrounding corruption portals, and I appreciate you laying out your ideas and thoughts on the process. I'll send the feedback to the team. So here we are, talking about corruption portals. For me, when I think about it, the beauty or the potential, right? I'm somebody, when it comes to games, that really does favor the potential of a game. Like if you think of potential energy versus kinetic energy being active things that are happening right now, potential is like, oh my gosh, this is such an interesting system. If they started to do these different things, oh wow, how much better could it be? So just note that about me when it comes to my commentary and my opinions. Take them for what you will. Again, I never want my opinions to feel like the law. This is about the discussion. And so, please always correct me however you feel that is necessary. I think that corruption portals would be best served if they had actually a real impact. The idea that a corruption portal and having them closed, having an impact on content like invasions, I think is really an interesting idea. But it could also, not just in terms of difficulty, have an impact on rewards. So the number of corruption portals closed could actually equal more rewards overall for players. The core aspect of why people aren't doing them tends to be probably an incentive. And then, what is the risk reward for not doing them? What is that idea that you want to go and do them? And I clearly think that you got to have some way, some shape or form that there's going to be value there. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to always come from the portals closing themselves. One of the key aspects of them removing the orbs as a requirement for the dungeons and actually shifting that to actually bonusing the loot, I've even advocated that, the keys themselves should just be tradable. You should be able to craft those as an economic thing. Now, having them removed, if the incentive is still in the loots, you could say that the materials for the orbs come from the portals, they get crafted, and then you can buy them from the market, the materials or the orbs themselves if you don't want to grind up your orb making skill. That's just one facet, though. That's not the full story. That's not the complete picture, because it couldn't be. Because at some point, those reward incentives do dry up. At some point, you've achieved all that you've set out to achieve in a game, and those rewards dive up. So you want to have some form of repeatable aspect, some nature to them. I think essentially when you start to look at the other core systems in New World, like the territory reputation system, that could actually help provide some level of value to you as a player as well as your company, for example. Now, talking about the company aspect of whether you're syndicate, whether you're covenant, whether you're marauders, like when you think about that, imagine having some aspect that your faction can work on territory control, not just from invasions but from war. The best solution here, the best solution that I think in any of these games comes down to what I believe to be a holistic approach, something that has value that trickles into every facet of the game. This is hard to do from a programming perspective. This is hard to do from a game design perspective, because obviously the more systems that you add, the more types of content that you add. Well, like, does these systems then influence that? Like, does closing or would closing corruption portals have an influence on you in OPR? Well, OPR would be maybe like you'd have to start to cut out what content certain things get get incentivized versus don't. But you could also see how the value could come into OPR. Imagine closing portals to actually increase your OPR rewards. So between matches, maybe you go on OP, like portal runs. And that's all I'm trying to get at here. I'm not saying that they have to or they shouldn't cut out one thing or another, but if you have that holistic approach, that doing certain activities in the game can actually help make other activities either more rewarding, or generally just like doing OPR could do, have these impacts. So there's that connectivity or that tissue nature of these systems in place. The one core aspect that I would like to see, like when we start talking about monthly rewards, I get concerned, personally speaking, about that FOMO, that, oh, I have to log in and do these things, otherwise I might miss out on this monthly reward track. And that's where I hope that we don't see New World embrace that. One of the things that I do appreciate about the core game is its relaxed nature, and when I get to sit down and play, that every time I log in, even if I log in with a goal, that doesn't necessarily mean that goal becomes what I end up doing, because New World, almost in a way, it incentivizes me to go and explore and do all these different things. And every time I play, I have a unique play experience. I have this really enjoyable play time, and it might be what I set out to do originally, but most of the time it's a hybrid of that. It's a hybrid of me starting something, either achieving that thing and then easily moving into the next, or kind of getting distracted on the way to my original goal. This could be stressful for some players. For me, I find it incredibly relaxing, especially in my mmorpg kind of mindset. But outside of that, that's my only critique when it comes to like incentivizing things on the weekly. Like, oh, we closed this many portals this week. But I think there has to be some incentive, and I'd love to see some open world aspect to that. Now, having the portals open up and stay open for too long has a negative impact on, invasions, or actually closing them maybe makes the invasion waves weaker, gives players different bonuses and things like that. That could be an easy one-to-one, but maybe even the aspect that having them up, just, I don't know, you don't want to, or you, I think generally probably honey is a better attractive nature, but you'd have to try to think on what's the best way in terms of that honey to draw you in. I think probably the fastest thing to do, as kind of my final thought here, is attaching gypsum more into it. And you might say, and if gypsum's already attached into the portals, clearly I'm missing that, because I'm not doing portals. Every time I've gone in to try, I've ended up getting my butt handed to me. And so it ends up being just too much trouble for any kind of potential reward. And maybe that's the thing. If the rewards already are good enough, they're not really communicated to me as a player. And maybe that could be the solution, maybe that's essentially the solution. But anyway, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts about this topic. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But guys, until then, take care.